without further ado, I'll move on to you. Can we have a round of applause for Eero? Thank you. Yeah, and maybe could you introduce yourself? I'm glad you're here. Okay. Who are you, and what do you do in your daily life?
Yeah, well, I'm Eero, indeed, Eero Ailio. I work at the European Commission. I'm an ornithologist from Finland as like a hobby. I'm interested in all kinds of other things in life as well, and energy, but let me stick to the energy side. So, advisor to Paula Pino, whom you met yesterday in the beginning of this event.
Yep.
And as part of my job, so I work on all kinds of city-related activities. So I'm a true city lover. Frederick knows that, Georg, of course, and many, some others here as well in the room. So I try to facilitate, push these kinds of city initiatives from covenants of mayors and cities mission and smart cities, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then work a bit on some other consumer energy policy, innovation policy, energy efficiency, etc. things that we do at DG Energy. Well,
right.
That's me.
We're really pleased you're here. You have your notes. Are you okay? Can you take it away?
Yeah. I will start here. So
Okay.
I have a great speech written here.
Yeah.
And just pretend that you don't see this, so that I'm like somebody who's speaking in a natural way and has everything here and doesn't need any notes. So yeah, you don't see this. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's really a great pleasure to be in a place like this with good audience, really sort of modern stuff here. And this is the second day of the Smart Cities Marketplace Forum. So it's time to get kicked off here, and we have a great moderator as well, so it's a good way to start. So yesterday we had a lot of discussion about the importance of cities in this new setting of the Green Deal, and that importance is going only up, actually, because of the setting that we see outside in geopolitics, unfortunately. So we need the cities for the twin transition more and more. That's the fact. And in this transformation, what we need to do is, and what I believe the city administrations will need to do, is a kind of a rethink of the way they operate. And that goes from the internal key performance indicators of the departments to breaking down those famous silos, if they exist still, between the different city departments. And then it goes also to things like green procurement and so on. And what we hope, of course, coming from DG Energy, is that cities would become very active and engaged players in the energy market. And that using there this famous integrated approach that many of you in this smart city community certainly know very well, and that's the way to go ahead as we see it. And what that needs is, of course, a skilled workforce, and you also need a lot of budget, because without budget things don't go anywhere. And there's just one basic thing about budget. So somebody told me as well when I was looking for money for some activity, that start by cutting that cake, cutting the amount of money you will actually need to invest. So look at any slack you might have in the way the city operates. Is there anything where you can reduce the unnecessary use of energy? And when we think about it, so housing stock or buildings are the kind of a case in point in this. And the thing is that there's actually not much point in changing fossil fuel-based heating systems in buildings, in city buildings, to renewable, just like that, just changing that the way you heat or you power or cool those buildings. So obviously that would be crazy unless you first make sure that these buildings are more energy efficient. So you cut any potential energy waste which is there. So the logic is clear. There's just not enough space in Europe to build those windmills or solar parks or grow those energy crops that you could just swap from fossil to renewable. So it just doesn't work. So that's kind of like a thing to start with. When you go into this process. Now, today we're going to have a closer look at these kinds of funding and financing issues of this transition, and that's a massive challenge. And we need their new approaches, of course, and this collaboration between sectors and geographies and these kinds of different governance structures. So there's been a lot said already about the EU funding instruments and programs yesterday, so I'll stay away from the details there. Let me just maybe recall still one aspect of that, and there is an initiative, the Horizon Europe mission for 100 smart and climate neutral cities by 2030. So this one, this one is very timely. And why? Because actually tomorrow we are going to announce the winners of the 100 cities which will be starting this program. So it's kind of a timely thing. So first of all, let me give you an idea on what this challenge means. So there's been a study made on this, that what does it cost actually in terms of additional investment for 100 cities, or to take them from today's situation to climate neutrality by 2030. So that number is set around 1 billion euros for a city, average 100,000 citizens. So this gives you a bit of an idea on what order of magnitude we're talking about. And these are, of course, estimates or guesstimates, whatever you want to call them. This is an enormous challenge, not just the money, but actually the change and the time. And we were quite scared when we launched this call for expression of interest on the mission to see how many cities will actually apply. We made, in the team, I was a part of the team, so we guessed, forecast, how many will do it, and the highest was 150, the most optimistic of us, and then the end result was 377, as you will know. So, yeah, there's a lot of willingness there, there's a lot of optimism there, that's great. And now, the challenge is that then there's only 100 which will pass. And we have to, help these, of course, and the help they will be getting is dedicated capacity building. There's going to be funding support to deliver these kinds of really ambitious commitments. And that means grants, advisory, and peer learning, and so on. And all this work, all this support to those 100 cities, it's sort of oriented to get this transformative change working. And then to generate actually local jobs and leverage private money, because that's pretty obvious. You need that. And when doing that, actually the city's mission will use a lot the wealth of knowledge, experience and contacts and standards that the Covenant of Mayors has developed over the years. And that's logical. These two initiatives that they work hand in hand because they have very similar objectives, a bit different timelines, a bit different budgets and so on, but still going to the same direction, so it makes all sense. And then in the mission, so we also aim at a good balance between inclusiveness, which means small and large cities, and medium-sized cities are going to be part of this group as well. And I would expect that the 100 cities will be the kind of role models for many other towns and cities to replicate those learnings they have, but do it at a lower cost, at a lower risk, sorry, because others will do the testing for them. And still, having said that, so we have the issue, what about those 277 cities who are not going to make the podium tomorrow? So what are we going to do there? I mean, we don't want to lose them. And when we consider that you need, not just them, but if you look at the Europe on the whole, so you need something like 3 trillion euros of investment to transform all European cities to climate neutrality. So that's a lot of money. So that actually takes us to the topic of today. So the finance aspects, and it takes us also to the Smart Cities Marketplace, of course, because the Smart Cities Marketplace has a lot to offer in this context. And it is this kind of a facilitation hub that Georg always tells me, and facilitating exchanges, capacity building, and the key thing, actually access to that famous finance. So that is what is in the core of the Smart Cities Marketplace, and it's the explore, shape, and deal process. You will hear about it. You will hear about it more, and that's also something that's happening. Right, should be happening there next door actually, while we speak. So in order to feed this kind of a process with replicable approaches and good practices across sectors, so the Smart Cities will collaborate very closely indeed with the Covenant, also with Civitas, Living in the EU, and other initiatives of this kind. And that's connecting now to this famous integrated approach, the buzzword that I mentioned earlier, but which integrates indeed energy, transport, digital solutions, environment, and all that. So in doing this, so we don't want to forget those famous 18 Smart Cities and Communities Lighthouse projects. They are very much in the picture and in our mind. They provide good ideas for this work. And building on those approaches, the Smart Cities Marketplace is also then connecting to the city's mission. Okay, it's also great that the Smart Cities is now starting the new phase which is starting mid this year, and that will be like a good kickoff again for next new ideas, and that will sort of supplement the Smart Cities will supplement all this work that is done through other means in this transition. So now I'm getting to the end little by little. So let me just recall what Commissioner Simpson said yesterday. She was underlining the fact that Commission is really, really committed to this just and clean transition. And that is more and more the fact today. And Cities Mission is no exception to that. And the Smart Cities is going to expand its role as a partner and facilitator here. So indeed within the mission, but also within those other initiatives that I mentioned. And then all of this will push us towards the implementation of the Green Deal. And that is what I would argue is that this is going to be a good investment from the point of view of cities. And it is something important that we measure this kind of success, not just in like reductions in energy bills or greenhouse gas emissions. That's very important. But also look at all the other aspects, the cuts in healthcare budgets, for instance, or the increase in the number of tourists that are coming to a nicely run city, or the new businesses that are developing and offering these kinds of future-proof jobs for young people, students, and so on. So there are many different indicators we should keep in mind when we look at these kinds of big investments that I mentioned. So now, I'd be tempted to mention good cities from Europe who are already on the road, on this road, but for impartiality reasons, I won't do that. But if someone of you looks at, say, the city of Vancouver in Canada, so there's a very interesting example. You will see how they've implemented these integrated approaches and smart approaches and the financing. And you will very quickly see the point how that really makes sense. You really get a good return on your investment there. So time for me to stop my 10 minutes turning 20 probably. So I wish you a really good discussion here, insightful, active day, and let's see some shaping and creating and concrete projects and inspirations. Let's hope there are also going to be good new connections created here. So thank you so much, and
thank you.
let's have a good day.